shall we get into it then? Let's talk about it.
Sure.
All right. So hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 56 of the Board Game Gateway podcast. I'm Neeber, that's Damien, and that's Ralph.
Hi.
We are your hosts, and we are your entryway into the world of board gaming, tabletop gaming, fun times. God, it's been a while since I've said that. It's good. We've been on a bit of an extended hiatus, if you will. Not intentionally. But it's just the way that
I don't know. Words were said, fists were thrown.
I needed a break.
We all just needed a bit of a break from each other.
Hotels were played in Monopoly. We never said never again, and all that kind of stuff. We've been away for a while, but in that time, we've actually been still gaming and still attending a lot of events, and we're actually going to bring to you 3 different segments in this episode about some of the recent board gaming events that we've gone to here in Sydney, Australia. We're going to start today with our review of PlayCon. We're then going to follow that up by talking about our, Ralph's attended Clocktower Con. And then we're going to be talking about B3GD Winter 2024, our game day coming up at the end of August. It's been a
busy time.
I was about to say,
Super busy.
It has been absolutely super busy, but it has been.
I haven't seen my family in like a month.
I was saying to Georgie that my wife, it was like, yeah, she goes, you guys have been playing so much, but not recording. And I go, yeah, we've got to get back behind the microphone. And thankfully, Damien, you said, like, let's do it.
Let's just do it. Yeah,
let's do it. So let's talk about it. So look, we're going to start off today's podcast by talking about what is essentially Australia's biggest board game convention. That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, look, I think it was a bit of a contentious call because I think that was a call made on Facebook, but I would back that because for anyone who's listening, I think the only other real competitor that's left is CanCon.
Yeah.
And CanCon is not purely a board gaming event. CanCon is a hobbyist gamers event, as in, so they've got tabletop gaming, war gaming, painting, they've got everything there. It's amazing, don't get me wrong, and the board gaming section is large, but PlayCon was huge and it was just for board gamers.
Yep, so we're talking about PlayCon 2024, put on by the Board Game Barbecue crew. They have taken the step from hosting singular game days across Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, and they have now decided to jump, and they hosted their first ever multi-day board gaming convention here in Sydney. And it was a fantastic event that myself and Damien, we both attended. We attended the Friday and the Saturday, which was essentially 2 back-to-back 14-hour days, which was mental.
So it's like one game of Twilight Imperium?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And look, so let's go through and let's tell you about the day. It was a proper convention, which is one of those cool things of, like, it was rock up. You had to have your ticket to get in, and there was the main area where they had rows upon rows of board games, tables set up ready to go. They also had a massive.
So the board games were set up on the
no,
table?
They had some games that they were showing off that they had planned teachers for, and they also had publisher games, and they had a designer alley. So there was a whole bunch of people who had put in their games to be basically featured. Showcased, featured, but you had to submit your games and then you had to be accepted. So there was designer alley, there were rows upon rows of tables. We had Advent Games, which is a Sydney board game retailer, showed up. They also had board game tables or something like that. They're based out of Smithfield.
Toppers.
Not Toppers. Board game. It's board game table flippers or something like that. I can't remember specifically. They were there showing off their stuff, and they had a massive library that you could actually go on and borrow games from for over those 3 days. So we're gonna have a quick chat about a couple of the games and a couple of stories that we had over there. So Damien, I'd like to Let's start with you.
Look,
to tell everyone about your impression of PlayCon.
Just to basically cut it short, it was sensational. The whole event was sensational. I'm lucky enough.
Done.
That's it. Well,
you also had a little bit of a different experience to myself.
So I was volunteering on the Friday. As I've said on the podcast before, I'm very good mates with a number of the Board Game Barbecue folks. We've been mates for years. And I've always said I will happily help you guys out whenever I can. So when the opportunity came to volunteer, I said, pull my hand up, let's do it. I volunteered pretty much all day on Friday, so it was exhausting. it was just fantastic the way they ran the event. A couple other things that Need didn't mention that they had there is that they actually had various people involved in the hobby having breakout sessions, and they would talk.
Yeah, I did. Totally forgot that. Yeah.
Audiences. So, for instance, Phil Walker Harding held a session. He spoke about game design. They had Amy and Maggie. Thinkathema had their own session, and again, they were talking to anyone who wanted to rock up and just listen to them talk and ask questions and such. So it was fantastic. So it has like these mini seminars happening. I think though, for me, the highlight of the event was the designer alley. So our very own local Rob Vella, he got to show off and demo Going the Distance, which was brilliant.
Very well received.
It was really well received. So I had a number of random people just come up and talk to me and say, hey, there's a boxing game going over there. Like, Rob's great. I said, yeah, I know Rob.
We've known
about
it for a long time.
And Rob's taken that information away and he's been improving his game. So Rob, again, brilliant work, mate.
I know Keith from Cutlass Games also demoed Cutlass as well.
That's
like,
right.
That was the first time he only demoed Cutlass on a game day thing.
So it was really great. It was a great avenue for designers to come in, show off their games, and get feedback from a very, very large audience.
Mm-hmm.
For me, though, the highlight of the event was they had a 1-story high, I think it was about 5 meters wide, poster of Micro Macro Crime City blown up on the wall.
Yeah.
And you could sit there and actually try and solve crimes. But you didn't need a magnifying glass because this thing was huge.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Massive. There was like 2 of the security guards at one point in the afternoon were just like, dude, have you seen this? Because like they had a little flip book that had the initial first mission from Micro Macro, and they were just like, you could play the game just by standing there and looking at this thing, trying to figure out where it happened.
That's really cool. I wish I saw that.
Yeah, no, it was really, really, it was just fantastic. Look, the guys did guys and girls on from the Board Game Barbecue did a brilliant job. Certainly as a volunteer, my job was really easy because they did their job beforehand.
Yeah.
And the whole day was really well received. On the Saturday though, just being able to go in and play games all day was fantastic.
Yeah.
We played Arcs, we played Orleans, we played
Food Chain Magnate.
Which was
got a full game of FC.
Played Sausage Sizzle, which is a silly dice tracking push your luck game. We played Paku Paku. We played...
The Board Game Barbecue crew loved Paku, but playing your copy of that
game. It was
so
mental. Geez, I can't even remember half the games we played.
With my sister over the last week as well, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Nkozu Dice. I did get a chance to play a couple of Trick Takers. I jumped in and coached someone on Ginkgopolis, coached them to the win, so I was happy about that.
Love that.
And probably the last story, which is a funny one to me, was I had 4 people who were setting up a brand new game, brand new to them also, and I walked past twice and I saw they had the head in the rule book. So
what game were they playing?
We'll get there.
I know this story.
And eventually I peeked my head and I said, hey, I know this game well. Like, do you guys need
Did you teach them all the wrong rules?
No. And they're staring at, and the game was Root. And for our listeners, Root is an asymmetric war game set in a woodland theme. So it's very pretty, it's very cutesy, but it's quite a complex game.
Where everyone's powers is completely different.
Yeah, everyone's different. And they've got their head in the rule book. And one person at the table asks me, is this a complex game? And I said, well, short answer is yes, but long answer is not really.
Yes and yes.
But
no with a but.
Yeah. How much time do you have? And I said, look, we've got about an hour. And I said, it's going to take about an hour just to teach you guys this game.
Yeah.
So they go, we'll come back to this
unless you found like 4 people that can teach one person their character.
And I felt bad because it's a sensational game. It's one of my favorite games. But but to be practical, just to be honest with them, no, it's definitely not
a game to play.
Yeah, they're like, have you tried Catan?
And that was there was a Catan. There was a Ticket to Ride tournament there as well, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Look, it was brilliantly done. There was a scavenger hunt. There was there was everything there. It was
I
amazing.
saw as well they had like little bar stools with
Yep.
mini games on there.
Yeah,
Yes.
they had that as
like
well.
challenges
Yes.
for people to do.
Yeah,
during the
Just
day.
around the thing, like these, you're right, bar stools that had games like Point Salad or like little things. It was like designed to like, hey, you and a random person whilst you're waiting for something, go and play a game. Like
Yeah,
there was
that's cool.
always something to do. You never felt like you had to be sitting around waiting for anything. You could always go grab a game, go do something, and it was great.
And I will say the last thing is that the venue was brilliant.
Oh yeah.
So was it just that one big room?
No, it was the main hall at Hurstville.
Chatswood, wasn't it?
No, it was Hurstville.
It was in
Oh,
Hurstville.
okay, right.
Yeah,
So
Hurstville.
it's not their RSL. I think was it the RSL?
No, it was the Hurstville. It was called the Southern, the Southern something building or something like that.
So
It's in Hurstville,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
so
just
basically
south of Sydney.
it's an RSL adjacent club basically, and so they have one room and they open up all the dividers in the room to just turn it into one huge room.
Beautiful.
And then they took up the room downstairs for the seminars. So there was like a small, almost like training room type of thing. And then outside of the large room, there's a bar which was converted into a bar and coffee stand. So you could go there, you buy coffee and drinks all day and food. And just behind that was where Designer Alley was, and they had
The publisher
alley and everything there. So they had a number of. So officially they had one room, but they had
it was all open.
It was
like
all
3
open.
or 4
That
different
would have been really
spaces,
cool to
actually.
see.
Yeah,
That's great.
It was brilliant.
That's really cool.
It was but I will say the venue, the thing that I really liked, and I will absolutely applaud the venue. It's the location.
Yeah, it was
in the heart of Hurstville.
literally 200 meters from the local train station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, literally right there.
Cool.
Parking galore right across.
And just food options.
Yeah, it was
plenty.
really good.
Oh, looking
It
forward
was
to it.
amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. So my experience was pretty good. So I went both days, and I had a bit of a surreal experience for myself because I do not want to take any games. My goal was to play as many games as I've never played before. That was my whole thing going into those 2 days.
They exist.
Yeah, exactly right. They do. There was a lot of them. So
That's cool.
so I will say as well, I've got to give a big shout out to Aftergame, the app, because the app there, it's a New Zealand based app, and it's really good for organizing gameplays. And I actually think it shone it out. It was so good for looking for like pickup groups at the thing. So we had the 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. The people in Aftergame really started going, hey, on 10 o'clock on Friday morning, I'm going to be playing Arcs. And I'm looking for a group of players who want to pre-register to come and play with us. And I literally started loading up games going, yep, I'll play that and I'll play that and I'll play that all day. And I had loaded up. I had 8 games prepared for the
really
first
cool.
Friday,
Yeah.
right? Before I'd even gotten there.
Done
So
well.
I didn't need to worry about like, oh, will I be able to find someone to play games with? I'd already lined up these games, and they weren't Board Game Barbecue official ones, even though they had those ones as well.
Yeah.
By the Board Game Barbecue crew, they had sorted those ones out.
Yeah.
And so like I walked in at 10 o'clock on the first day and literally found Ivan, I think he was, and he's up from the North Shore Gamers, and he's got Arcs, and he's like, yep, you're Ivan, yeah, mate, I'm Anthony, yep. And then all of a sudden we had our 2 other players. One of them happened to be Matt from our MacArthur Board Gamers, and we literally sat down at 10 o'clock on a Friday and bang, just started playing Arcs. Teach everything, done by 12 o'clock. It was great. So I got to play Arcs, which I know is very divisive at the moment among the board game community.
Just want to ask, is it good?
I really like it. I'm not willing to say it's better than Root, but I literally am willing to say that it's an easier teach and is more.
So I'm going to say this. I don't like Root. And
No,
look, I haven't played it all.
I think you would like Arcs more than Root.
I kind of was impartial to what's that other game that we played, that campaign one?
Oath?
I didn't like
I'm kind of impartial to Oath. It was very finicky, but once we got it, it was okay.
I think you would really enjoy Arcs. The long and short of it for me is that rather than having asynchronous stuff,
I see the mechanics behind it.
It's very trick taking, and the way that works is a really cool way. This is not a review of Arcs, but I really liked it. It was. I don't want to say I like it more than Root, but I like it about the same as Root. However, Arcs I think is a much easier teach.
Okay, cool.
It's so much.
Yeah, that's my problem with Root.
It's like basically, I think it'd be as much as I think it'd be better to start with Arcs and go, if you like Arcs, you need to go play Root. It's almost like that step up. So that's so we got to play that. I got to meet a whole bunch of people that we've seen plenty of times. Stu, Megs, the crew, all these kind of guys got to play. Trajan, I got to play with you, as you said. We played Food Chain Magnate. I got to play Orleon for the first time in person. I've only ever played in BGA, and you brought it, and I was like, let's play that. I also got to play Container for the first time. Finally, I've gotten to play Container.
How good was that? Is that so? I love the fact that I got excited when I saw Container in the list. Now, I missed out on playing the game.
You were volunteering at that day.
Volunteering, but I said, I'm going to make it a mission to see this. Container is honestly one of those unicorn games.
Yep.
It is obnoxiously expensive.
Yep.
You will never see it on the market ever again. To buy it on second hand, it's $300-$400.
But just because it's so rare.
It's so rare. And then I walk past this table, and there's a dude. He's got ships made out of Lego.
It's not even Lego. It's off-brand.
It's off-brand Lego.
Off-brand.
It's IKEA Lego.
And I'm staring at it, going, of course. The game is just literally. It's just moving goods around. It's boxes and poker chips.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly
just
right.
make it yourself.
So that was one of the things.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
myself and James, who from MacArthur Board Gamers, he and I, we play, and we play a lot of games with him, and he rocked up as well, and we had played at 4 players, and it was so charming how it was totally just like a print and play copy with off-brand Lego as the stuff. So that was really good. We got to play that, and I really like both myself, and I'm like, yep, I'm going to put my 3D printer to work. I'm legitimately going to print a copy because it is the perfect financial crunch that I was like, yeah, it's just really good. I really enjoyed it.
The best thing about the game is that all you need to do is be able to count to 5.
Yeah.
I can do that.
You can count to 5, you can play
The route needs to be that level for me.
What I liked about the economy is you're right, Damo. It's like literally it's all 1s and 2s. The biggest number that you ever have to worry about is like 22, 25 is what we've got to. It's like,
so is it a big Euro game?
It is a Euro game.
It's a Euro game.
But where you're auctioning in 1s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the economy is in super small denominations, and there's no change. There's no nothing. And that's what makes it brutal. Okay, so with a lot of other Euros, one of the ways that you smooth the edges is you have large numbers. Okay, like 18xx games are like that; they have large numbers.
$350.
Yeah, this is not. It's like the
$20.
The bidding difference between a 1 and a 2
is huge.
Can be the difference between you staying afloat and you just being completely crippled.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's so I really enjoyed it.
I need to check out Container.
Yeah, Container is super good. So anyway, we got through the whole first day, and there were some people who rocked up late on the Friday, and there were a lot of people who came late on Friday afternoon, and we left Damo at about 10 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
So we'd been there for because we got there at 9 o'clock there, so we'd been there for nearly 13 hours, and so we got home. Both of us basically.
Oh, you're brain dead.
Done.
But I was especially done because probably not as much as Damo because he had to deal with people all day, whereas I just got to focus on the game.
And it wasn't even that. I was mentally done because when you volunteer, you spend a lot of time making sure everyone's okay.
You're on.
And I go from table to table making sure just everyone's cool. And on top of that, I did also organize a game of Tigris and Euphrates during my break.
I like that.
And I will say that after game was fantastic, not just for the long-term planning.
Short term.
But for short-term, it's I posted Tigris and Euphrates. I started setting up. I went and grabbed a sign looking for players. That did nothing because I had 2 people turn up.
Yeah, because everyone using after the game gets a notification that says, hey, someone's looking for a Tigers and Euphrates in your area. And people just go, oh, bang, let's go.
Do you know roughly how many people attended?
Oh, it was at least 400 people a day.
No, there was 500 people a day.
There you go, 500 people a day.
And they had a wait.
And they were sold out.
400 people.
They were sold out, completely sold out. So
cool.
Next year I will be purchasing a 3-day pass, maybe just because it was so good and I really enjoyed it. And then the second day we came back, I got to play Skyrise, the super special, in-your-face, unique edition with all these 3D printed casted minis, which is really great.
And I will say, for anyone who's listening, do please come to our game day on August 31st. Skyrise will be there.
Yeah, because Stu will bring it.
I have, so very, very good friend of ours, Stu. He is going to be hosting a teach on the day.
Perfect. And in that game, the actual Saturday was really good in terms of interesting stories because and who I got to meet. So I got to meet the designer of Hadrian's Wall because I played a game with him first up.
Cool.
Which was really good. So He absolutely wrecked the table. He got the win, of course he did, but it was really good because he was there showing off his new one. I think his new game as well. So he had that game.
Hadrian's Door.
Yeah, I can't. And then I got to, when I played Skyrise, she's got the joke book. I got to meet Danny from Board Game Sanctuary, the YouTube channel. So I got to play a game with him and meet him. That was
okay.
Really
I watch his stuff.
Yeah, I watch a lot of his stuff too. So really good to actually meet him and talk to him in person. So that was really good. And then the afternoon, I will say the one thing about the day, it very much had a casino feel in the sense that I had no idea what time of day it was because it was always the same lighting condition through the whole day. So I didn't get out on the second day until about 2 or 3 o'clock. And I was like, it is already starting the sun to come down. And it was that moment of, and then we went and got dinner later in the evening. I was like, I was so glad we got out when we did.
Yeah, I heard they set up a gaming hotline instead of a gambling hotline.
Yeah, exactly right. Please. But at its core, though, it was an amazing event. Very well run. Very well. The community was fantastic. There were games going on all the time. It was the perfect cacophony of game going on, sound going on, laughter. The community was all really good. We had a very big showing from our local community group, as we've kind of mentioned, because we had at least 3 people showing off publisher games. Yeah. We had Robin, Designer Rally. We had a lot of people just rocking up to play games.
I think the count I got to was I know I hit 40 people from our community who turned up.
There was a lot of people were there, and they have already confirmed that they will be doing it again.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll be doing it at the same venue, but they are certainly running the event again, and
That's
we
great.
are hoping to have. I'm definitely going to go back again and do it, and maybe we'll take some more video and stuff of it next time. But this kind of was just for us. This was for us to just go and play, and I as the name suggested, play con. We certainly did a lot of that. So look. Big shout out to the board game barbecue podcast and that whole crew for putting on what was honestly
they've gone over 300 episodes recently as well.
Yeah, they have a massive milestone. So look, their crew is 3 times as big as ours, but that event has been they've been playing that for over 2.5 years.
Yeah,
sort of thing. It's been a long time, and for their very first big multi-day convention sort of event. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
You could not have asked for a better thing, and the fact that they sold out is huge. So. Yeah. Anyway, so that was our talk of PlayCon and our review. But the week before PlayCon, there was another con that was going on in Sydney, and it was just as massive. Now we had a chance to interview one of the organisers, Theo, of of Clocktower Con. And he was so gracious enough to come, and actually he may have been one of the last episodes that we did. Actually,
I think that is the last.
It was his episode. It was his interview. But myself and Damien didn't go because we had to. We all 3 of us kind of had to make a choice. Do we want to go to Clocktower Con or do we want to go to PlayCon?
Yeah, I made that choice as well.
Yeah, so Ralph made the choice. He went to Clocktower Con, and we also had again a lot of MacArthur board gamers are super into that game, and they went. But Ralph. We've been talking a bit. It's now you have the floor, sir. Tell us about Clocktower Con and tell us about your experience, because there was not only just the convention, but there was the party as well. On Friday night. Tell us about it.
For me, it started on the Friday night. It was just at a pub in the city, and there was about 150 people.
Wow.
And it was Clocktower's 10th birthday party. So it's been 10 years since the game has been in development, so not completely released, but since it was in development. And we sung happy birthday to a board game. And we got a cake and desserts and everything, and it was a great experience. It was quite weird when you think about it.
Who blew out the candles? That's what I want to know.
The co-designers did.
I know. Stephen and Evan were?
Yeah, Evan and Stephen did. And so that was really great. So I thought I'll go to that mainly because I wanted to meet Ben Burns, and they organized games before the con, and I wasn't in any of his games because it was a different tier of the Kickstarter or a ticket to do that. But yeah, so I met Ben, and he's completely down to earth and exactly what you see in all the videos.
Who's Ben Burns? For if you're listening to this podcast and then on it, who's Ben Burns?
So he works at the Pandemonium Institute, who make Clocktower. He's the representative over in the UK. They have a few representatives. But he's basically known as the guy from the No Rolls Barred videos.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you've ever watched No Rolls Barred,
he's the guy with the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cut the dreadlocks though. They already kind of go down just under his shoulder.
But he's he's also he really is the storyteller for a lot of clock tower things that I've seen on YouTube and such. So
yeah. So that was a pretty cool time. I got to hang out with Evan and things like that as well. And what was really cool is people travel from all over Australia and New Zealand mainly. Apparently they played a game of Clock Tower the night before this event, and they had players from 11 different countries in the game.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, geez, that's crazy. So it really helped set the scene and a bit of a buzz for the event. I only got to go to the Sunday after that. So it was a 2-day Clocktower Con. So I only had the experience on Sunday. But I get there at 10 o'clock when doors open. And as soon as you get in there, you see all the custom scripts they have. I think they had something like 15 or 16 custom scripts. And all the tokens were custom made in the boxes with the name of the script and a bit of a description of it. So we've got all these tokens now ready to go, and they had a check-in, check-out system. So if you like the idea of this script and you want to storytell it or play it, you can check it out, go to one of the many circles there. And I think on average, they had like 24 circles, but 22 of them were being used pretty much the entire day.
Wow.
They had over 400 players.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember with our interview with Theo that they actually had a competition to actually find some really good custom scripts. So they actually had, that's what I believe part of it was, is that they were literally they had a full rundown of, like, you had qualifiers and like people had to review and different themes and whatnot.
There were 2 custom scripts that were being showcased and the winner was announced. We're all good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the winner was announced during the con.
Right.
So I think that was the script that won was called 1 In, 1 Out. I'm not too sure who did it, but it meant there was a fabled character in the game where only one player can change teams during the night phase.
Right.
And there were a lot of characters that could change in alignment.
Yeah.
So that one, I didn't get the chance to play, but those that played it actually loved it, and that ended up winning that. So that will actually get properly, formally printed by the Pandemonium Institute as well.
And it's cool because, like, Clocktower has been announcing for a long time that there will be more sets of characters coming in. And
well, what they actually confirmed as well is anyone can make a custom script online.
Yeah.
But you can soon, they reckon end of the year, you'll be able to order that and you get all the tokens.
That's super cool.
With the name.
That's what I was going to ask, is like whether they announced that, because I know, look, unfortunately Clocktower, when it was being published and released, got caught up in sort of like COVID, like distribution issues and stuff. And in the end, it is still a small company and they self-publish, they self everything. And they unfortunately suffered a little bit because of it. So I was wondering whether they were going to consider going down that path or how were they going to deal with it. But it makes sense that because they have such a massive following, they'll just say, no, you can
make your own script.
So
you can make your own, or call us up and, you know.
So Clocktower Con was the first one in Sydney just now, but there's been like 3 or 4 others overseas. I know there's been a couple in the UK and in the US as well. Yeah. But this one I felt was really special because I played a lot of games. I scheduled myself in for a few games, but also I just played a bunch of pickup games.
Mm-hmm.
I think over the day I got in about 7 games of Clocktower.
Wow,
nice.
That's a lot of Clocktower.
Nice.
Yeah, and what was really cool is the storytellers, even in the pickup games, was someone very reputable in the Sydney industry for Clocktower, because the game was developed here. So I met a guy called Angelus, and he was like, oh, I'm one of the original storytellers for this game, and here's the custom script that we'll be playing. And it was just a fantastic game. Got to play a game with Keith as well from Cutlass, and sort of pinned him as the demon, and then he swapped last minute, and then we worked together, so that was fun. But as soon as I walked in, I got into a 15-player game of Batman Rising, which is my favorite script that I haven't. You never get the opportunity to play a 15-player game.
I finally played BMR. Finally played it last weekend. I finally got my first experience of BMR, so I'm all good.
So I got to play that game. I think I drew the Tinker, which is you can die at any time.
Yeah. You might die at any time.
I found I couldn't pin anyone because you're playing with all these experienced Clocktower players. By the end of the game, when everyone's being completely honest as to what they were, I was like, oh, I didn't pin anyone. Everyone lied and I didn't know anything. So that was really interesting. But then after that, I found my groove. I got, like I said, I didn't get it scheduled in a game with Ben Burns, but I was just chatting to him downstairs over lunch, and he's like, I'm about to do a 20-player game of BMR. Do you want in? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I got in a 20-player game, which is the max player count.
Wow.
And it had all 5 travelers in. And one of the travelers, I can't remember what it's called, but it means that no one can leave their seat. And this traveler picks 3 people to change seats. So we had that in the game for most of it. And then we also had only this particular traveler and dead players can vote. so I was a sailor and I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll get the town to kill me. I'll try and kill myself or whatever. And I did. So that way I got to vote. And dead votes, you can vote as many times as you want.
Yeah.
When that traveler's in play. So I died. And then after that, we evicted that traveler. So I just like, But I'll tell you what, I got a bit of a kick of Ben Burns just tapping me on the shoulder and waking me up. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Ben.
That'd be super cool.
That was really cool. There was an awesome homebrew script, which is made up characters not in the game.
Yep.
It's called Fall of Rome. I didn't get the opportunity to play it, but they're all Roman characters.
Oh, you sent us photos of these. Yeah.
Yeah. There's an outsider called Spartacus, and it works similar to the damsel.
No, I'm Spartacus.
I know where this is going.
So it works similar to the damsel. If the evil team say you're Spartacus, then you get one guess.
Yeah.
Your team loses.
Yeah.
But there's a fable character in play that's saying only half the group may say I'm Spartacus during the game, and whoever is Spartacus has to say it. So it's a bit of I'm Spartacus. There is that moment in the game, but all the characters are basically all Roman legions and things like that. It's it's really clever. So I hope I get to play that because much like Clocktower Con, PlayCon, they will do Clocktower Con again.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not on the same back-to-back weekend again.
No, me neither. I'd love to go to that. I'd love to go both.
Yeah.
This one was held at the Roundhouse, which is in the University of New South Wales, which for anyone in Sydney knows is in the middle of Randwick, which is just a pain in the butt to get to.
It was tough to get to.
For us to get to, it's basically you got to catch. You either have to drive.
I drove in. The parking was easy.
Or you got to catch a train followed by a light rail, and there's a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. But they also had seminars as well.
That's good.
So I signed myself up for a storytelling one by a gentleman called Patrick, and he's also a streamer from the UK.
Love that.
So I got to meet him. I'll share this one tip that I thought was genius, and I can't believe I don't do this when I teach the game or anything or introduce players to it, especially not so much trouble, or even trouble brewing. You're introducing new people to the base script. You tell other players not to talk about any character that's not on that script. Because you don't need people saying, oh, the damsel guessed me here, or the summoner did that. You don't need that. Just talk about the 20 characters in front of you. So I'm definitely going to take that one on board. Thank you, Patters. And we just did some general exercises where they showed you a Grim and the current state, and they'll go, all right, the poisoner just poisons this player. What are you going to tell them? And we all talked about what we would do. So it was quite unique and interesting. Like it was sort of hands-on brainstorming.
Really cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Open sessions, which is awesome.
Because it can be daunting being a storyteller, particularly large groups. Like when you said 20 players.
I could not do that 20-player BMR again.
That's crazy.
That was what was also really cool to see how good Ben did it.
Yeah, like I've done 17 or 18 trouble brewing, and that was tough. It was like I did it.
I remember,
but it was tough
with the 5 travelers in the game. We had in the 20-player game. We had our eyes closed for probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Ben made an announcement. It's like, right, I've just told all the travelers whether they're good or evil. Now we may continue the night phase.
So very quick anecdote. So that's the other thing that happened in between the last podcast that we recorded. And this is that GooberCon happened. And you two weren't able to attend, unfortunately, this year.
No, I did actually. I came
really late. You came late in the piece when we had a 7-player game of Spartacus going, and I was completely wrecked. But that I was completely out of it. But part of the reason why I was out of it was that I actually story told my first ever game. I story told. Sorry, we're going to come back to Clocktower Con very.
Let's hear about it.
The reason is because you said talking about that is that it was trouble brewing, and we had 14 players for my very first game.
Yeah, I remember that.
3 minions, 1 demon, however many outsiders, right? And go, right? And let me just say, it was kind of rough.
Yeah.
So for example, I made a very big boo-boo on the first night. I forgot to open one of the minions' eyes. So the demon didn't know that one player was a minion, and of course they voted to execute. The demon voted to kill him on night 1. Now, I, being the storyteller, should have taken a moment to go, you know what, everyone close your eyes again. I need to tell the demon that that's a minion over there and so on and so forth. But I didn't. And so that was a very quick thing where I realized I made a big mistake. And it was my brother, Nick, who I actually apologized to. I said, look, you're going to have a rough game now and it's completely my fault. But I can't take it back from this point because we were too far. We were into the game enough. I didn't really want to restart because we also had a few players who were going to be leaving fairly shortly.
Another thing from Clocktower Con that I'll take on board is we played a lot of custom scripts and there's a lot of unique interactions that you haven't really fathomed yet until you see those characters together and things like that. So storytelling, all the storytellers were fantastic, but people took their time to get it right. So what I found happened a lot was everyone, while they still had their eyes closed, the storyteller will be like, all right, if you feel I should have woken you up, but I didn't, please raise your hand.
That's actually,
and I was like, that's great.
That's a really good piece of advice. And to take that. And so something which I also figured out in storytelling the game, which is that I realized, oh, this is great. I don't have to rush. I can actually just take a moment to take a breath, look at my script, look at what I have to do, and just take it turn by turn.
And I have to do your dummy steps, even though you don't have to do it.
Yeah, you just walk with, like, and I'm walking around and I realize I'm just pacing here, and I just took a moment to go, you know what, I'm just going to have a breath whilst I'm walking, just to to figure my thoughts out. And that was something that I really respected about this. I'm like, oh, they just are there and they're waiting, and that they'll come to that realization soon. But I have to admit, it was super cool to like wake someone up and they know what they're waiting for. Yeah. So you wake them up and now it's just your ability just to go 2, or it's like, hey, you 5, right? It's just like, and then it's like shut their eyes. And it was really funny. So one of my Georgie and one of my friends, Kirsten, came out in the middle of the game and they were just out there watching, and she goes, looks like you're running a cult.
That's why it's so hard to find a venue, because if they see what you're doing and it's like, this is weird, if they're not fine with that.
But it was great. I really enjoyed storytelling. I really want to do it again. Look, I will admit I'd probably be intimidated to do it in front of like an experienced group, but certainly I would be willing to do another TB.
If you ever were to do it, we would pair you up with someone and train you.
But like, so I'm still not ready to, because I don't fully understand interactions in terms of like poisoning and other things completely yet. Like, for example, my mind went, oh, I want to make this person drunk. So I gave them the drunk token, completely realizing that I'm not supposed to give them the drunk token. They're just supposed to get whatever role they have. And then I just say that person is drunk.
It's townsfolk.
Yeah, right, or whatever. And so that moment where I actually did say to that player, you shouldn't have this. I'm going to remove this from the game and I'm going to give you something else. I told the player that. So they wouldn't go, hey, I'm drunk. What does that actually mean?
There was a game I set up recently of Batman Rising where I put one extra outsider in the bag by accident.
Right.
Like, I thought we were a set player count. I needed 2 outsiders. I only needed 1. So I just woke the player up at the night saying, you are this character. I just changed it on the fly.
Yeah, okay.
So that, you know, if you take your time and think about it, it's not too bad, even if people are just waiting. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played quite a few cool games. Evan's story told a game for me called Anonymous Dishonesty was the script, with the Al Sahir, the new character, where if you guess the evil team saying Damo's a minion and Nee's the demon, and that's right, the game is over, you win.
Oh, wow.
So
basically like the seer, but not, you want to become the seer sort of thing. Like,
you've got to guess.
Yeah, you have to guess what
the evil team entirely and their roles. Yeah, so you
can't just say a minion, you have to say which minion.
No, you got to say minion, just minion.
Right.
Minion. These people the minions, these people this person's the demon.
Right.
If it's like a Fengu and there's 2 demons, you need to get both players, that sort of thing. So so that was really cool to see that. And the demon in that was the Oho, which was like, it's not just point to a player and they die, it's you pick a character and that character dies.
So you have to kind of know who they are.
Yeah, so everyone was being really cagey. Like, I was a first night ability, didn't really care. And I just kept it on the wraps. So I was particularly hard to kill. But if the demon gets it wrong, the storyteller can kill a player, like any character.
Yeah.
But there were characters on the script like the Banshee, which is like, when you die, everyone knows you're the Banshee, but you get to nominate twice and vote twice every day. So there's characters that you don't really want to kill. So you got to get it
Right.
right. So that was a really tense game.
I love
It had
that.
a
That
very
sounds
different vibe to it.
I will say just on the custom script thing, Josh from the MacArthur Board Gamers, he submitted his own or created his own custom script as well called Trust No One. And so he brought that to our last meetup event as well. I got to play that.
You're
So
the summoner.
I was the summoner, and somehow we got through this damn game. So the summoner basically says there's no demon in play at the start of the game, but on the third night, you point to someone and say they are this demon from this moment onwards.
Nice.
Right?
But he's got to survive.
Still you got to survive to that night, because if you don't survive until that night, the game ends, because no demon will come alive. So we were playing with a girl called Kate, and she plays a lot.
She's very good.
She's very good, very understands the game, knows the nuances, whatever. And someone said, she said at the beginning of the game, wouldn't it be funny if I died first night, then someone just created me as a zomble on night 3, right? And I went, as the summoner, I went, okay.
That's what you got it, Kate.
As she died on the first night, and I went, all right, well, I know who I'm turning into a zomble. And somehow we had this game go, it was a good hour game, but it was like there was a couple of misinformation things that happened, and we pulled this win out of our ass, right? I was like, we shouldn't have won this game. And we did. And I said, she said, why did you do that to me? And I went, for the meme, really? Because you said it would be funny. And I went, yeah, I thought it would be. So
yeah, I had another funny experience that night as well. I was in Bad Moon Rising. I was the goon, and that's like the first player that picks you become on their team.
Right.
So I can switch teams during the day or during the night. But on the first day, I was sitting next to a tea lady, and Town tried to kill me, and I survived because the tea lady kept me safe.
Yep.
Right. And then that night they turned me evil. So I just kept backing onto that. But I have to be good because of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it ended up working. So that was a lot of fun too. But that's what Clocktower does. It creates these mad stories. So 400 different people, I think from our MacArthur board gamers, over the weekend, there's probably like 12 of us that went.
Yeah.
But I didn't really play games with any MacArthur board gamer that weekend, just out of coincidence. But I just met new people every time. Just have a chat, where are you from, that sort of thing, like where's that accent, like that sort. It was just really cool meeting people and then killing them.
Or pleading with them to not kill you.
Yeah. But what was really cool, they had like tailor-made clothing there for Clocktower. They had like Clocktower gum boots and shoes and everything, and I bought this really neat jacket. So if you guys notice, I'm gonna do a show and tell.
Oh, he's doing shit.
I'm doing a model. So
I did see you wearing it. Oh, he just dropped. Oh no!
I know.
He dropped his mic. It's gone silent.
We have a wardrobe malfunction.
I'm gonna have to have muted that because that'll be a bit loud.
It'll be really loud.
Yeah,
That's right.
But it's just like me talking, right?
It is.
So at the bottom of this hoodie is the grimoire opening up, and they're the harpy's hands. So the harpy makes players mad. Yeah. They manipulate people.
Go to @BoardGameGateway YouTube channel to see this jumper.
Definitely. And look, there's all these characters from all these various scripts and things like that on it. And it goes around the back.
Right there, there's the investigator. Right
Yeah.
Glasses.
Tina had a good look at it.
The gambler.
And she's like, oh my God, I recognize the poisoner and things like that. So yeah, it's really cool. I quite like it. But they has like so many cool garments there. And it was all pretty like affordable as well. I found quite good. So if I can find out who it is, I will link it is, because there is an online shop as well.
Perfect.
But they had 20% off during the con, so that was really cool. I jumped on that.
Perfect.
But yeah, they're going to do Clocktower Con again. I found everyone I spoke with by the end of it, they were again brain dead, but everyone really wanted to play Clocktower again. So I rejoined the Patreon for a few weeks, and I played a couple online games since, and just sort of popped in. They were like, oh my God, Ralph, I know you. And it's like, it's this guy from Tasmania I played with. And, yeah, so it's a really cool community of people. That 20-player Bad Moon Rising was a crazy highlight of mine as well. We got to the final day, and it was a zombie game and no one noticed. And what was really cool is Ben didn't like give us time to work it out. It's like we've had the whole game.
Yeah.
He still ran the final day as if it was the final day. Like, and I think that's something I'm definitely going to take on board as well, is just keep the game moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great weekend.
Especially if people aren't trying to, sharing information. It's like, well, man, we're going to keep moving. You're going to keep going.
Like, because we did the round robin the day before and things like that.
Oh, yeah, it's one of the hardest things as a storyteller is pacing. Yeah, I really find it convincing people that, no, like, we got to come back. We got to keep it going and stuff. So
what I found as
Yeah.
well is like if the evil team are clearly winning, I'll let good have a bit more time. But if
Yeah.
they're clearly losing and good's on the right track, come on town,
Yeah.
let's rein it
But
in.
it's-
You know,
it's also why, especially with newer groups, I like to make sure there are roles in there, and of course they have to survive, but make sure there are roles in there that give the storyteller autonomy over the game to help shift that balance.
Yeah.
Because I have played games, I mean, with more experienced people where evil just walked away with the game just because information it can happen. But with a new group, I find it's probably the only negative on Clocktower is that you can end up in a situation with a new group where one team could just steamroll away with the game and they do nothing. Like we've had a participant, friend of ours, where she sat there, she was the butler and did nothing. And she just didn't have a great experience with the game, and I can understand it. It's just how
it's so
felt.
weird. Like I said, I was the goon, which is a terrible ability, but I still had a great time and I had a role in it. But again, that comes with experience and time.
And I'll say as well, one of the best games I've ever played where I was the chef. I told everyone I was the chef. I got killed immediately. They still called me a liar the whole game. Evil won, and then in the end, and I did nothing all game because I died first night.
Except they were yelling at you.
They were yelling at me, calling me a liar. So he's probably drunk, so on and so forth. So no. I wasn't drunk. I was totally fine. And then in the end, oh no, he was telling the truth.
Well, actually, speaking of that very quickly, the one thing about that BMR, the Trust No One game that I just described, where I turned Kate into the Zomble, for the last 4 rounds of that game, which was about half an hour, I didn't speak. Because everyone had kind of figured out that I was the summoner by this point, but they had no idea what had happened when I had changed whoever I had changed. And they were fairly certain that it was a Zomble game, but they still couldn't figure out the puzzle. And I realized...
I find what's also cool is you could just throw shade anywhere you want.
100%. But I realized, I went, I'm not going to speak because you've stuffed up something, and I know you've stuffed up something. So why bother adding anything into this game? And I just actually, for half an hour, I sat there, not speaking, just listening. And I had a great time because I'm sitting there just listening to these people like going,
trying to work it
out. What the hell is going on?
But that's the thing, like evil have all the answers. So that's really powerful as well, just that alone.
Yeah, just not speaking and not even giving them a sniff. So
yeah. But yeah, Clocktower Con was amazing. I wouldn't hesitate to go back there because huge community out there.
Nice.
It was amazing to see all of you on SW just packed out with Clock Towers. Yeah.
I'm super happy that both PlayCon and Clocktower Con will both be getting coming back next year in 2025.
And what happened was Clocktower Con people they stayed in Sydney for the week and they went to PlayCon as well, like a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Anyway, so that is 2 of our 3 events done. And to close out our return to podcasting glory, we're going to be talking about B3GD.
We should take PlayCon and Clocktower Con and smush them together.
Smush them together and you get B3GD Winter 2024.
Kind of.
Something happened there.
No. So
I just want to make sure we're not overselling ourselves.
So at the end of last year, if you've listened to our podcast before, we held our very first Board Game Gateways game day. So that's hence why B3GD. B3G.
Beginning of this year.
Exactly right. Well, we held it in
Game
January, but we
day.
spoke about it in December and November of last year. So, and we did have our recap video of that as well at the beginning of this year as well as we did it. So we announced a few months back that we were going to be doing it again, and we are now less than a month out from hosting our second board game day. And this is going to be hopefully even better than our last one for a couple of reasons. One, we've decided that we're initially going to get the bigger room to start with this time. So we got more room this time. We had to get the bigger room because we oversold the last event.
Yep.
And this event, we decided to get the whole space from the get-go, which means that we can change our layout a little bit to make it a bit more friendly, a bit more better. We are still doing a few things though. We are also going to be holding Clocktower at the night like we did last time. And we are selling an evening ticket. So, which is $10. It is from 5 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And, you know, the main purpose of that is that if you want to come along, you just want to play Clocktower in the afternoon.
Or play board games.
Or board games as well. If you want, you can literally come and buy that ticket. And we're in contact with Evan and Stephen, the creators of Clocktower. We will actually have potentially some giveaways, some very special Clocktower stuff coming in. We've actually just received a reply from them today about what potentially we've got in this, so I'm not going to spoil that. And we've also got Rob Vella. He's going to be showing off his game, Going the Distance, his boxing game, which I've got to actually admit,
it's really good.
It's getting
very
really
I'm excited
good.
to see.
And that's not
recent
just me saying because
changes.
he's a friend and we like Rob. It's actually a pretty unique game.
And
I've not seen a game like it.
He's made a bunch of improvements post PlayCon and just post play testing.
Yeah.
It's really great to see that he's taken all that advice on board and he's sort of turned that advice into some of the things that were pointed out, and he feels like he's solved them and he's done it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really great to see.
Yep. And we also are hopefully going to be having James Allen, who is the designer of Drift. He he said he's very keen to come and show off his game. So we're hoping to have him there as well. So we're going to have actually our first ever game designer showing off games at our game day, which I think is a really cool thing. It is, again, so it goes from 10 o'clock through till 11 p.m. So 10 a.m.
I'm excited for Drift. That's
cool. So 13 hours of gaming goodness. And we've hit 50% of tickets completely sold.
Nice.
So we are halfway to a completely
and it's still a month to go. Yeah.
Still, and just under a month to go. And we always find that tickets immediately, as soon as we say 50%, they start to sell because people realize,
we're releasing our games library online in a few weeks as
well.
well.
So we've got the games library coming up as well. We've had a few people asking about that, so we're bringing that back as well. We had a really good reception to that, and our communities were very good with the games.
And we're using After Game as well.
We will be. Yes, we're on After. We are officially on After Game as well. So if you download After Game, the app on the App Store, you will actually find the B3GD event there. So you can actually start up a table and look for players at the game.
So if you see a game in the library and you want to play it, you can schedule that in now, and that way other people will join it as well.
Absolutely. And so we'll be pimping that out as well. And we've Clocktower in the evening. And then in general, we are just hoping to have, just another great game day in Sydney because, I mean, you've heard the stories from our two past conventions that we just went to. I mean, we love that we're a part of this community. The posters?
We're the posters.
Posters are over here. I put them behind. Here you go.
There we go.
So we've got all these posters.
I just want to say, so first of all, massive thank you to Mega Mini Golf.
Yes. We do need to pivot. Yeah, that's the other major announcement.
Mega Mini Golf is sponsoring the event, so it's kind of wild that we actually have an event with a sponsor. It just seems weird, but super thankful to the guys and absolutely thrilled to have them on board. So
every person gets a free game.
So that's part of their sponsorship. So Mega Mini Golf Campbelltown,
and also we also have Good Games once again sponsoring the event. They will be providing some games for our giveaway. So we will still be doing our raffle during the day.
So everyone who comes in, your ticket immediately goes into the raffle for a lucky draw prizes.
I do want to say that's only the day ticket because the raffle's at 4 p.m.
Yes. So if you bought an evening only ticket, you won't be getting into that. But if you buy a full day ticket, you will immediately go into that draw for the raffles.
Absolutely.
We are still confirming which games they will be, but not only will we be having them as lucky door prizes, but any games that we're giving away, we are actually giving another copy that we will be able to play on the day. So any game that we're giving away, we will have a chance to actually play it with your family and friends.
And the last thing is, and this is hopefully going to appeal to the Clocktower fans here, we are still getting confirmation on this. But I am reasonably confident we can announce it. We're trying to get a copy of Curses and Covens, which is a brand new social deduction game.
Social deduction?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's just a horrible thing.
What's social deduction?
So Curses and Covens is a social deduction game designed here in Australia. And it is a newbie. It is in pre-production, I believe, right now. We are hoping to get a copy on the game.
I almost backed that on Kickstarter at the time. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does look really, really good. So fingers crossed, we are trying to get final confirmation because, again, it's pre-production. So there's a lot of timing involved that comes with it, but it's looking positive.
I want to actually show more people Scythe. I know there's been a few people recently join our MacArthur Board Gamers community, really keen for that.
Well, at the last game day, there was Big Scythe.
That's the one.
Big game. It's the really big one. So, look, we're super. Again, you mentioned as well. So, Mega Mini Golf at Campbelltown, Joel and the team over there. The fact that they've come on board as our major sponsor was one absolutely gobsmacking to us, but it really has made us want to work harder and put on the best event that we possibly can. And as Ralph said as well, anyone who attends B3GD Winter 2024 will get one free game at Mega Mini Golf in Campbelltown after the event. My son absolutely loves that place. He's absolutely mad.
Shouldn't it just be called golf?
Golf?
Yeah, it's like Mega Mini.
Yeah, Mega Mini. Well,
I've done some basic math.
well, and to be fair as well, he's actually done a lot of work. He's actually brought in things like they now have golf billiards there. They have Golf Connect 4. They have a golf shuttle board.
That's pretty cool.
Shuttle board,
That's
these
nice.
mini games that you can play as well. They also have a party venue room so that if you want to go and have your kids, you can take them as a party there. They provide that. And so Joel and the team, they're a local company. And they they were an affiliate in our last event, and he really liked what we did, and he had jumped up and has become our major sponsor. So once again, thank you to Joel, the team for the Mega Mini Golf at Campbelltown, because without them, realistically, the event would still go ahead, but it wouldn't be at the caliber, I don't think, because we would be worrying about other things. Whereas now we've put a lot of our effort into the new games, prizes, all this other stuff, the games library, and we're just super excited to do that. So if you want to book your tickets, they are still available up until the day before, basically up until midnight the day before. And even then, we still probably sell on the day. But it is, again, we said it last time, it is a strict hard cap. Even though we oversold last time, this time we actually can't oversell because we don't have extra room that we can expand to.
Please do not leave it to the day to buy your ticket.
Yes.
They will be sold. They did sell last time. We managed to pull some strings. We don't have those strings to pull this time.
Not this time. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to go check it out, go to www.b3gd2024.com. It's on the screen before you. That again is www.b3gd2024.com. You can also go to our Facebook group. We've got links there. We're posting all the stuff there. And we also have a QR code that you can find as well that'll link you directly to that site. We are expecting this event to get pretty close, if not selling out again. So if you want to come, you've got to book your ticket. We literally had first people off the rank last time, like, hey guys, can I buy a ticket on the day? And we're like, oh God. And we literally we were able to pull some strings with Damien, as you said. It can't happen this time, unfortunately. So look, if it goes as well as we hope it will, maybe one day we'll be doing our own 3-day or 2 multi-day convention, which I think, if you want that to happen, you've got to show up to these events and help us, make sure that that's there. So
absolutely.
All right, guys, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. We've really enjoyed being back. We're hoping to get some more content out to you in the future. We actually have an interview with Keith from Cutlass Gaming coming out soon. We've been talking about it, but we have the first episode of The People's Court coming out, Crocodile v. Class. That's going to be one to look out for as well. If you liked what you were listening to, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff on your podcasting app of choice on YouTube. Blah, 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 all that.
You can even leave comments on Spotify nowadays.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, leave a comment down below. Let us know if you enjoyed what you listened to. But Damien, Ralph, thank you so much for coming back to the studio. It's been too long. We're looking forward to getting back into more.
I'm super excited for the game then.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
It's been too long. 8 months, nearly. Basically 8 months.
That's almost wow.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.